Let's just be honest. Michael Knowles is essentially a Catholic YouTube channel at this point. I mean, it's masquerading as a political channel.
I told them I wish they had buried him with the last pope. Like, they put in like little vitamin pills with plants.
Yeah. And Walsh, I am embarrassed at how much I love that fella. Every opinion he has, I'm like, I want to seem more intelligent by disagreeing with him on certain points, but I can't. He's so excellent. His interview, I don't know if you saw his interview with Tucker Carlson.
I did.
He did such a great job. He's just honest.
Yeah, he's honest.
Yeah, and he has the temperament for that line of work.
And he's really funny.
He's really
most
funny.
People are not that funny. He's really funny.
Do you think he knows he's funny? I said to him at the launch of the Am I Racist? We got to go there. I said, this is like Ricky Gervais level funny.
There were scenes in that movie that were absolutely
I was in pain watching.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless the Daily Wire for this. For Am I Racist and What is a Woman? They've really been culture changes.
They have. They really changed things, and it's the thing that on the right I keep complaining about. That's just not enough. Like just pure creativity and that kind of boldness of like saying like, what are you going to do to me? I'm all, they already just demonize him. They threaten his life all the time. And it's like, but he's really, I really like the fact that he has done that. That's been, a breakthrough. And The Wire, we get so much hate from the right. I don't understand it. It's like, I think like, you don't have to agree with everything we say, and we all say different things. And mostly it's the Jew haters because they hate Ben. And so they say, you have to say what Ben tells you to say. Ben has never told me to say anything.
It's also wild that Ben would be funding two prominent Catholics to promote Catholicism.
And he thinks that, he does, and he likes Christianity. American Christianity is very different than European Christianity, and like,
in that it exists.
In that it exists.
Vibrant.
It's vibrant. And it's less of the fewer pogroms,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've never understood it. It's a jolly place. Like people who come there are surprised at how funny it is.
I wonder what it is. I mean, like it could be that some of your opinions suck and that's why.
Some of
yeah, so maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't think that, but I suppose, I mean, I think it just is well, I got a couple of theories. I think one is, whenever you get too cool, there was a band that came out in the 90s called Korn. They were really cool until everyone thought they were cool.
Yes,
and then it became cool to hate them.
Yes. I think
something like that. Like with Daily Wire's Ascendancy, it was like this weird little thing that sort of erupted with ferocity and brilliance and articulation. And it made all of us feel less alone. I remember stumbling upon Ben for the first time and Matt and Michael and just thinking, oh my gosh, I've thought this. These are the conversations I have with my friends. And the fact that they're now saying these things gives me more permission. And they're much more brilliant than me. They're more articulate than me. And so now I feel like I have more permission to hold these views. I come from Australia. I was just in Australia with my bride and we were watching the news. And you just get the sense that they're all singing from the same sheet of music, that there isn't a significant contingent of people, let's say on the right, who are pushing back against the mainstream narrative.
It's weird. I always thought of Australia as kind of the America of the...
Wouldn't it be cool? Yeah. And there are very cool people in Australia, but they're just not the ones with a microphone, except if they're Sky News, who seem obsessed with American politics.
Yeah.
That's where the money is, maybe. I don't know. But anyway... So that's the first thing. I think the other thing is as human beings, we're really good at defining ourselves against something, and maybe we're not good at being for something. Well, so if we're under attack, then we can all kind of be against the left.
Yeah.
But once the right comes to ascendancy...
Now, this is an important thing to me because I really, all this time that I've been attacking the left because they had the power... But I've always tried to say what it is that I believe. Like it's not just that I don't believe what they believe. I believe in something else, and it's really interesting. I mean, once it becomes clear to you, I was talking, Eric Metaxas.
Yeah, I just had him on. He was the last guest.
Yeah, he and I had this conversation. I saw him, a few weeks ago in New York, and we were talking about how hard it is to take people seriously who don't believe in God after a while, because after a while it's so obvious, and you start to, and not only is it obvious, it infuses everything. Like once you see that everything is kind of sacred because it's part of creation, and he was saying, like, you talk to people and you're thinking like, I don't want to think you're an idiot, but like, and this was really important to me all this time. was I kept saying, like, it's not enough for us to take them down. We have to be something, which is one of the reasons that the Jew hatred and the basic nastiness puts me off so much, because I think it's a no sale. I don't think we.
Yeah, anti-Semitism is really weird, because if you're anything like me, you sometimes reach the end of summer feeling a little spiritually drained and in need of rest. That's why I'm excited to tell you about St. Michael's Lent with Exodus 90. Rooted in an ancient tradition practiced by St. Francis of Assisi, this 40-day journey was born out of his deep devotion to St. Michael the Archangel. So, men, join us on August 15th for St. Michael's Lent and get ready to fight the good fight. That's exodus90.com/Matt. I'm open to the criticism. I'm very much open to it, that anti-Semitism has become the new racism, namely a word to shut down discussion. Open to that 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But it's hard for me to deny that anti-Semitism exists. When I look in my comments section and I see something like, it's always the effing Jews, or don't lie to yourself, like I do, they run the world. And you're like,
I wish they ran the world.
Yeah, I don't know if I wish that.
We wouldn't be $36 trillion in debt.
Yeah, so I think of anti-Semitism as an irrational hatred of Jews as Jews.
Right.
Where rather than sort of assessing them individually, you just sort of like blame the ills of the world on them. And so I do think that some people are accused of anti-Semitism when they shouldn't be, but that doesn't mean anti-Semitism doesn't exist.
Right. Well, all those things are true, of course. That people want to find ways of shutting people down and all this stuff. But there's so many lies, and such. It's so universal. It's so like, they run everything. Like, please, if they run everything, how come they keep getting killed?
And the other thing is, if Biden were a Jew and if Pelosi was a Jew,
right,
we'd hear about it nonstop, about these dirty Jews.
Yeah.
But because they're Catholic, we just sort of go, he's a bad Catholic. And so are there shitty Jews? 100%. There are shitty Catholics.
Who's
included.
Who's exempt from that? It's like, and I just.
But then I think people might say, but it feels like I'm not able to criticize the state of Israel. But I would say, well, that's not anti-Semitism either. It depends what you mean by your criticism of it.
And I always say that to me the key is, first of all, do you know what you're talking about, which is almost nobody does.
I don't even know how plastic is made.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So almost nobody knows what he's talking about. But the other thing is also, there's only one country in the world that has to argue that it should exist. And I think that is the one that kind of goes up my spine, that like, this is the one country that has to argue that it has a right to be. Nobody says like, oh God, France,
Pakistan,
France, the Franks took it away from the Romans, it's like, just give it back to Italy. It's like, it's the one place where people say, they have the deed to the property. Let's face it. The Jews have the deed to the property.
If I had the choice between the Jews or the Muslims running it, I'd rather the Jews.
That's what I think too. Yeah. And it's a lovely, I don't know if you've ever been there.
I need to go.
It's a remarkable country because it's really foreign.
I was at the, I don't know if you'll find this funny. I was at the American friggin' conservative friggin' conference in friggin' Arizona recently. Trump spoke. I didn't really want to be there, but I knew my son would love to see Trump speak. And I met a couple of Jews and we had some cigars. And it was fun because I'd never really hung out with Jews before, And I made the mistake of telling him my favorite Jew jokes, thinking that they were funny.
Yeah.
And both went, as I told him, they're like, and I went, I am never going to recover. I hate myself so much. I'll tell you after the show.
Yes, I do want to hear these shows.
Yeah, and I will see if you find that funny. Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.